5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
This is one engagement you will not walk away from!
Not step on this, right?
Man, you got it back up. Just a
I can't for 7 seconds. Oh, you made
Get out of the way.
You guys want to move the boss a little bit back?
Alright, I'm moving the boss towards mid just a little bit. Get out of mine. Okay, we're switching. Turning the other way out. Yeah, there are no mines, so you want to hug.
Are healers just going about?
Getting out there is one mine.
We have a res. Can we get recon up? I have 3 seconds. Watch where the boss is. I had to move him to be in the circle.
Should be the last one.
Transition. Let me get this pod next since I lost it.
Shield, friends. You should be in the shield.
2 seconds. And then after that, out range to try and keep my discounts.
Okay, I'm moving him so he's in this corner like the other side. Same concept. focus. Good job.
Cigarette this thing.
Last one. She's in front of the boss.
Yeah, there's a lot of mines between the bosses here, so be careful, friends. Grab him.
Gotta be careful. So, I don't know what about, but that fuselage, it does more damage. So, got it down.
Down. There's already one on the edge. Sitting up.
Taking it.
The fight shouldn't last long. We need to worry about cooldowns for that right
Okay.
At least on.
Begin firing on my mark!
Out.
Oh my god, that hurt.
Yeah, at this point, it's worth trying to stun the shot.
Take this spot.
That's power.
Becca?
I got that 60.
Okay.
I can't highly advanced UI. I cannot see on the boss.
Boss is okay.
Spinning dudes under the shield.
And just focus this boss as hard as you can, guys, because it's just me. Oh, never mind. Still focusing.
I'm out. Someone only worry about clearing mines right here.
We don't have any mines, so
This is in general.
kill the boss. Spam all the buttons. Well done, team.
Hey,
Good job.
got an achievement.